Coming not this summer to a theater not open near you. Earth. There are 7.66 billion people on the planet. But what happens when disaster strikes? How can humanity survive against the coldest temperatures striking the planet while Los Angeles crumbles into the ocean and Yellowstone Park's volcanoes explode? Witness as a giant Godzilla combines forces with aliens that like fireworks and ancient Egyptian gods to wreak havoc on the planet. Who will save us? Are 4 men up to the task? Experience the team-up of the century as Stargate experts Colonel Jack O'Neill and Dr. Daniel Jackson join forces with alien cold givers Captain Stephen Hiller and David Levinson to bring down the hammer on these opposers and the forces of nature. Learn why mammoth hunting and the Revolutionary War are so important to change the future. Make sure you always save the president. Starring Dennis Quaid, Channing Tatum, and Bill Pullman's amazing speech. Independence Gate Down 2012 BC. Not coming this summer. Presented by the Wilhelm Awareness Foundation. Fight the Scream. Also presented by R&R Reviews. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Welcome to the Cinema Hood. R&R Reviews.
Hey, who wants a review today? Welcome back to R&R Reviews. As always, our review will be spoiler-free. This week we're going to review disaster specialist Roland Emmerich's latest attempt at a war movie. Only this time, it's not the war that made our country independent, or the one that kept it independent from aliens. It's World War II and the Battle of Midway, and his cleverly titled film, Midway. Midway started out making mostly arcade games, some big titles like Pac-Man, Galaga, and Space Invaders. As the format for gaming changed and in-home gaming started to become more popular, they started making some in-home titles. They saw great success with Mortal Kombat and Rampage. Unfortunately, things slid downhill over the...
Cut! Not that, Midway, dummy! Cut it in post.
Now, back to the review. So like we said, we were going to review the film Midway. But due to the Pope calling a worldwide ceasefire during this pandemic, the war has ended. So, we can't. What, Bob? Oh, sorry. This wasn't an ongoing war. This apparently happened in the 40s, so we are good. This story is a discombobulated mess, kinda like the review here. It doesn't seem to primarily follow anyone. The film details the events of Pearl Harbor and the steps leading up to the Battle of Midway. Most of us know this story fairly well, having been depicted in films many times. Now look, don't get us wrong here. We have the utmost respect for this story, for the people that fought, for the people that died, and all for our freedom. The story isn't the issue here. As always, it's how the story's being told. We gave Midway a generous 4 out of 10 points. It just felt jam-packed and muddled. Like it lacked direction, looking for its way back. Maybe Ben can help them. We can hardly keep up with all the different plot lines and subplots. As a result of this, we never really get any kind of emotional attachment to any of these characters or the story itself. With a story like this, about Midway, through the film you feel very disconnected. There were tons of characters that didn't even get to live out their story arc in the film. We didn't even realize it until the end of the film when they suddenly pop back up again. So many unnecessary moments that only pulled our attention even thinner as we tried to fumble through this mess of a story. The truth is, we really didn't need a refresher on Pearl Harbor, or a half-hearted one at that. The film relies heavily on its big sets, explosions, and CGI fight scenes, but it's just not enough to carry this emotionless depiction. Emmerich's films usually hold to the specific style of filming that we refer to as the Bay Effect. The difference is, his stories usually have enough material to support the explosions and CGI fight scenes going on. This was more like sensory overload, with no interest in a narrative. The same goes for our two-dimensional characters, with their cliché and forced dialogue. We got the tough guys trying to be the tough guys and the bosses trying to be the bosses. There's really no growth or development to speak of, just loud noises. And did we mention that there's tons of CGI? This story tries to connect us with Dick Best, played by discount Nicholas Hoult or Cillian Murphy's long-lost brother Ed Skrein, also known as Francis. His wife, Ann Best, played by Mandy Moore doing her best Kate Beckinsale impression. and their young child. It feels like Dick Best is supposed to be our leading man, but he can't even seem to muster a decent East Coast accent, which is very noticeable even before you're midway through the film. He just doesn't seem to be a strong enough force to really give feeling to him. Not to mention the lack of time we spend with these characters while we bounce around endlessly to cameo-filled scenes that have no true relevance to the story. This film has tons of B-list actors. In fact, the whole film is filled with B-list actors. From Dennis Quaid, discount Harrison Ford, to Luke Evans, discount Orlando Bloom, to Patrick Wilson. The whole B-list gang is here. Wait, who wrote this? Who dissed Patrick Wilson? Oh, you did? Get over here.
Cut!
Aaron Eckhart's in this film? Oh yeah, for a whole 30 seconds of screen time. We saw discount Alan Cumming with no zombies. Wait, why is Nick Jonas here with another crappy accent? And who decided to go with that mustache? Look, it's discount Alexander Skarsgård. And the mean guy from the Hunger Games. Nevertheless, we always want to give credit to the talented Woody Harrelson, who honestly has made some bad film choices lately, but still stands a grade higher than this cast, and don't tell him we said that. We also can't forget to give credit to the helm of this crew, Roland Emmerich, who seems to be sliding down a slippery slope of crappy large-scale action films. If you're not careful, Roland, you'll end up just like Bay, who would put an explosion right here in this review just because he wanted to. War movies hang heavily on their score, to pull at your emotions and to inspire you. Every war film has that goosebumps moment. You know, the one where you nearly tear up? Well, almost every war film. We were so disconnected that the score never really pulled at us. It has a few noticeable moments, but it was mostly covered by the sound of explosions, bullets, and yelling, followed by bad accents, more exploding, more bullets, and more yelling. This style of film is much more susceptible to CGI addiction than your traditional films, and we're sad to say that Midway has a real problem. The first step in recovery is admitting the issue, and Midway has a lot of admitting to do. Just because you share the name with a company that made tons of games with computer-generated images doesn't mean you can do your whole movie that way. There were tons of scenes where you could tell the background was fake. Nearly every exterior scene in the film was shot with some sort of green screen. This not only makes for some bad effects, but it also draws from the authenticity of the film. It also makes for some awkward scenes with our actors. At moments, we experience awkward scenes where it doesn't feel like the actors are connecting at all. We expected these kinds of special effects, but this genre really lacks in trying to be as practical as possible with their effects. Real just feels more genuine. And before we wrap up our final thoughts, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors. 7-minute abs. Is 8-minute abs just 1 minute too long for you? Does 6-minute abs not even get your heart rate going? Of course it doesn't, not even for a mouse on a wheel. 7 is the magic number. 7-Eleven, 7 dwarfs, 7 chipmunks twirling on a branch, eating lots of sunflowers on my uncle's ranch. 7-minute abs is guaranteed. If you're not satisfied with your first 7 minutes, they'll send you the 8th minute for free. 7-minute abs. Now, back to the review. So there you have it. Midway is one of the most mediocre war movies we've ever seen. You can get through it, but your time would be better spent on some of the classics out there. Hopefully, you're surviving out there during this lockdown. Regardless, we'll keep pumping these reviews out even though no one will listen to them. Because honestly, it's just what we do. Well guys, until next time, it's always a beautiful day in the cinema hood. Was that too long? Yeah, I thought about midway through. It got a little dry.